Have you ever felt like your entire life was just missing one piece? Like something was almost right, but not quite. Like you were putting in the work, doing what you were told, following the success formula, but somehow it wasn't translating. Not in your results, not in how you felt waking up each day. You were doing your best, learning more, working harder, saying yes to every opportunity, taking the courses, reading the books, keeping a smile on your face, even when you felt tired inside. And yet, deep inside, something still felt off, like an itch you couldn't reach, a tension you couldn't name. That was me. For years. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't lacking effort. If anything, I was overachieving. I filled every gap with more effort, more goals, more ambition. But no matter what I did, I always ended up circling back to the same question. Why am I still stuck? I read more books, took more courses, made better plans, woke up earlier, slept less. I created vision boards, I tracked habits, I hustled harder than ever, and still, nothing truly changed. My results barely moved. My confidence slipped in quiet ways. My joy became conditional. It was like being on a treadmill with no incline. Constant motion, zero progress. It looked impressive from the outside, but inside I was exhausted. Until one day something clicked. I heard a quote from Rohn. For things to change, you have to change. Not the world, not the economy, not the people around me, me. That one idea cracked something open in me. It was like a spotlight turned inward. I realized I was trying to build a new life on top of an old mindset. Because up until then, I was obsessed with changing my circumstances. I kept thinking, if I could just fix this situation, if I could just get more money, more time, more recognition, then I'd feel different. But I never thought to question my lens, my worldview, my philosophy. That day, I didn't just write a new to-do list. I rewrote the foundation beneath it. I asked, what do I believe about growth, success, and who I am becoming? And what happened next changed everything. My goals made sense again. My discipline came back, not from pressure but from alignment. My energy felt cleaner, less forced. I was no longer chasing an outcome. I was living from a new identity. Because now I wasn't just reacting, I was designing. I wasn't running from a problem. I was anchored in a new philosophy. Today I want to take you on that journey. Not just to motivate you, but to invite you to shift your mindset from effort to essence, from strategies to philosophy. Because strategy tells you what to do. But philosophy, it tells you how to see. It shapes the way you interpret struggle. It reframes failure. It defines how you show up when things feel uncertain. And when you shift your lens, you shift your life. So let's begin. Have you ever asked yourself, why does it always feel like I'm so close, yet never quite there? Why do I keep hitting the same wall over and over again? Why does it seem like no matter how hard I try, something invisible keeps holding me back? Let's be honest. Most of us don't struggle because we're lazy, or because we don't care, or because we lack ambition. We struggle because we're trapped in the wrong mindset. A mindset built on an outdated belief. When I become successful, then I'll change. We say things like, when I finally land that job, I'll be confident. When I lose the weight, I'll start loving myself. When my business takes off, I'll take myself seriously. But that formula is backwards. Rohn said, for things to change, you have to change. Not after, not someday, not eventually. First. But here's the trap. We live in a world obsessed with achievement. We're constantly told, do more, be more, get more. And so we stay busy. We chase checklists. We pile on goals. We stay in motion. We say yes to everything that looks like progress. But deep down, we're still unsure of our direction. We mistake intensity for intention. We equate loudness with clarity. And here's the paradox. We confuse motion with movement. We confuse productivity with progress. We do everything right on the surface, but never go beneath it. The truth is, we're living on borrowed beliefs. Beliefs we picked up from school, society, family, culture. Beliefs that say, you have to earn your worth. You're only valuable when you're productive. Rest is weakness. Success means sacrifice. And without realizing it, those beliefs shape our identity. We become the overachiever who can't sit still. The perfectionist who never feels enough. The procrastinator who fears starting. The peacemaker who says yes when we mean no. The imposter who doubts every success. We hustle not because we love the game, but because we fear what it means to stop. We grind not because we're aligned, but because we're afraid of being left behind. We push harder not because we're clear, but because we're scared to slow down and ask, is this even the right direction? We keep building, but we don't check the blueprint. We keep running, but never pause to ask where we're going. And that's the real reason we stay stuck. Not because of a lack of effort, but because of a lack of alignment. We're trying to run a marathon with sprinting tactics. We're trying to build a new life using an old operating system. And just like a phone running outdated software, we crash, we lag, we freeze, we burn out. Here's a question to sit with. What belief is silently shaping your life? What are you unconsciously repeating because you never stop to rewrite it? Because every action you take or avoid is rooted in belief. You don't avoid goals because you're weak. You avoid them because something inside you says, I'm not ready. I'm not worthy. It won't last. I'll fail again. What's the point? But those aren't facts. They're stories. Stories that have gone unquestioned for too long. And until we rewrite the story, we will keep reliving the same chapter. We will decorate the cage instead of breaking free from it. Let me give you a visual. Imagine you're on an escalator. It's moving. People around you are going up. They look focused, confident, composed. But you're standing still, maybe even walking the wrong way without noticing. You think, I need to move faster. So you run harder, you try harder, you burn more energy, but nothing changes. Because the real problem isn't your speed, it's your direction. So many of us are caught in this loop. We call it discipline. We call it hustle. We call it ambition. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But often, it's just disguised fear. Fear of slowing down, fear of asking hard questions, fear of confronting our true beliefs. And here's the truth. Transformation doesn't begin with more action. It begins with deeper awareness. Because you can't fix what you haven't faced. So if you feel stuck right now, if you feel like you're doing everything right but going nowhere, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been building from the wrong blueprint. A blueprint designed by someone else. A blueprint built on fear. A blueprint that says prove your worth by overachieving. Earn your place by pleasing others. Stay busy so you don't have to feel. Keep moving so you never have to sit with yourself. But guess what? That blueprint isn't sacred. It's not permanent. You can change it. You can challenge it. You can choose again. You can design a new operating system. One that supports your values, not your fears. One that aligns with who you're becoming, not who you were taught to be. Because the moment you become aware of the belief is the moment you take back the pen. And when you take back the pen, you stop living someone else's story and start writing your own. So pause with me now. And ask yourself, what belief have I been building on? And is it really mine, or did I inherit it? Because this is the beginning of true change. It doesn't start with doing more. It starts with seeing clearer. It starts with awareness. It starts with alignment. Let's keep going. Let's go deeper. Let me ask you something. Have you ever followed a strategy perfectly and still felt like something was missing? Have you ever applied a productivity hack, bought a new planner, followed a habit tracker, and yet your progress felt hollow? The truth is, most of us don't fail because of a lack of strategy. We fail because of a lack of philosophy. Rohn said, "Success is not something you pursue, it is something you attract by the person you become." Read that again. Success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract, not by running faster, but by becoming more aligned. That's the shift, the one mindset shift that changed everything for me. Before that shift, I chased outcomes. After that shift, I focused on becoming the kind of person who naturally creates those outcomes. Let's break it down. Strategy is what you do. Philosophy is how you see. Strategy lives in the calendar. Philosophy lives in the soul. Strategy gives you goals. Philosophy gives you meaning. And here's the problem. We spend so much time fixing our to-do list. We rarely stop to examine our belief system, but your actions are downstream of your philosophy. Think of it this way. If you believe that success only comes from struggle and self-sacrifice, then even when you succeed, you'll feel guilty if it felt too easy. If you believe that you're not worthy until you hit a certain milestone, then you'll sabotage anything that resembles peace or joy. If you believe that rest is laziness, then even when you rest, your mind will punish you. That's not a strategy problem, that's a philosophy problem. And until you upgrade your philosophy, no strategy will stick. This is the part most people skip because it doesn't look productive. It doesn't give you quick results. It doesn't give you six-pack abs or a seven-figure income by Friday, but it gives you something far more powerful: clarity, alignment, resilience. Let's go deeper. Here are 3 shifts in philosophy that rewired how I see the world and myself. More. 1. From outcome obsession to identity alignment. Most people live with an invisible scoreboard. They measure life by achievements. They believe, if I achieve more, I am more. But Rohn flipped that completely. He said, don't become a millionaire for the money, become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. That's a whole new operating system. It says, chase growth, not just goals. Focus on becoming, not just achieving, because the results will come, but only when your identity supports the actions required. This shift changed the question I ask myself each day. From, what do I need to do today? To, who do I need to be today so that doing becomes natural? Instead of chasing results, I focused on living in alignment with my highest self. I stopped forcing. I started flowing. And guess what? The outcomes came without the burnout. 2. From hustle culture to inner rhythm. We live in a world addicted to noise. Wake up at 4 a.m., work 16 hours a day, never stop. But Rohn said, don't major in minor things. We are busy, but not intentional. We're hustling, but not aligned. So I made a shift. I stopped glorifying urgency and started honoring rhythm. Rhythm is different from routine. Routine is a schedule. Rhythm is a way of life. It flows with your energy. It honors your seasons. It adapts without guilt. There were seasons I worked deep and long, and seasons I needed rest and reflection. Instead of punishing myself for needing space, I asked, what does alignment look like today? And slowly I began to move from force to flow. Not lazy, just wiser. 3. From external validation to internal integrity. This shift might be the most important of all. I used to measure my progress by praise, my worth by recognition, my confidence by how many people noticed me. But Jim said, learn to be happy with what you have while you pursue all that you want. He reminded me, if your happiness depends on applause, you'll always feel empty when the crowd goes home. So I turned inward. I asked, did I keep my promise to myself today? Did I live in alignment with my values? Did I act from truth or from the need to impress? That's integrity. That's where peace lives. That's where true self-respect is born. Because here's the thing, you can fool the world with performance, but you can't fool your soul. Your soul knows when you're out of alignment. It speaks through anxiety, through exhaustion, through that quiet voice that says, this isn't me. And philosophy, it helps you return to who you really are. So let me ask you, what philosophy is shaping your life? What do you believe about success, about failure, about your worth, about what makes life meaningful? Because no strategy, no matter how smart, can override a flawed philosophy. But when your philosophy is aligned, you become unstoppable. You no longer need hype. You no longer need external force. You move with power, with peace, with purpose. And that is the one shift that changed everything for me. Not a new tactic, not a new tool, but a new lens, a deeper philosophy, a redefined definition of success, discipline, and identity. So before you make your next goal, upgrade your philosophy. Before you write your next strategy, rewire your belief system. Before you chase another outcome, align with the person you were always meant to become. Because when philosophy leads, strategy follows. Let that be your new starting point. Let that be your shift. Let that change everything. So far, we've explored the mindset. We've unraveled the philosophy. We've seen how the old way of thinking kept us stuck. But insight without action is just decoration. So now, it's your turn. Not to be perfect, not to have it all figured out, but to begin. Because true transformation doesn't come from a leap, it comes from small, consistent shifts. Today, I want to offer you 3 simple practices. They won't take hours, they won't overwhelm you, but if done with heart, they can rewire the way you think. These are not just habits, they are mindset interrupts, identity reinforcers, philosophy in motion. Let's begin. The morning question. Designing your day through philosophy. Most people wake up and go straight into task mode. Check the phone, check the email, respond, react, run. But how you begin the day shapes how you become that day. So here's the practice. Each morning, take 2 minutes, before the world grabs you, before the noise floods in. Ask yourself one question. What kind of person do I want to be today? Let it guide you. Not the to-do list, not the deadlines, but your identity. You can rephrase it. How would the future version of me show up today? What would someone who respects themselves choose this morning? What philosophy do I want to embody today? Write the answer. Feel it, let it anchor you. Because when intention leads, reaction fades. Over time, this one question shifts your entire framework. From doing to being, from urgency to alignment, it becomes your compass. Every morning, every reset. Write it on a sticky note, set it as your phone wallpaper, put it on your bathroom mirror. Build your environment to reflect your answer. Because when your surroundings echo your values, the path becomes easier to walk. To the micro act, one tiny promise a day. Discipline isn't built through pressure, it's built through trust, and trust is earned in the smallest moments. So here's the practice. Every morning, pick one small thing you'll do for yourself. Not to impress anyone, not to get a medal, but to keep a promise to the person in the mirror. Examples. 5 deep breaths before starting your day. Drink water before caffeine. Write 1 sentence in your gratitude journal. Take a 3-minute walk. Put your phone away for the first 30 minutes. Look outside and name 3 things you're grateful for. Compliment yourself out loud. Say no to one thing that drains you. Simple, small, so easy it's hard to fail. Why does this matter? Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce a new identity. I follow through. I respect myself. I build what I say I'll build. Over time, these micro wins stack, and that stack becomes confidence, not from results, but from rhythm. Try it for 7 days. Track it on paper. Circle every day you kept the promise, and watch what happens, not to your habits, but to your self-image. Don't underestimate the quiet power of one small act. Done daily, it rewires who you believe you are. And belief changes everything. 3. The evening reflection. Recoding the loop. How do most people end their day? Scrolling, numbing, dreading tomorrow. But what if the end of your day became the beginning of your identity? Here's the practice. Each night, ask yourself 3 reflection questions. 1. Who did I become today? 2. What choice did I make that aligned with my highest self? 3. Where did I react from fear or habit, and what can I learn from that? You don't need pages, just a sentence, a truth, a moment of awareness, because reflection turns experience into wisdom, and wisdom into transformation. Bonus, light a candle, play soft music, make it a sacred ritual. Add 1 line to a journal titled Becoming, not dramatic, just intentional. Let your nervous system know, we are safe, we are becoming. Over time, this rewrites your pattern. You stop ending your day in autopilot. You start ending it with authorship. And authors don't repeat chapters, they write new ones. Repetition of this ritual is not about perfection, it's about intimacy, with your journey, with your choices, with your truth. Putting it all together, your daily rhythm of becoming. Morning ask, daytime act, evening reflect. Not complicated, but deeply powerful. These 3 practices are not tasks, they are temples. Places you return to each day to remember who you are. They anchor your new mindset into your nervous system, your calendar, your consciousness. You don't need a full life overhaul. You don't need to escape to the mountains. You don't need to wait for next year. You don't need another book, another breakthrough, another breakdown. You need a rhythm. You need a ritual. You need to return. Just begin. Right here. right now, with one breath, one question, one promise, one pause. Because it's not the size of the step that matters, it's the rhythm of taking it. And rhythm changes everything. Let today be your first note. Let tomorrow become your chorus. And let your life become your song. Here we are, at the end of this journey, or maybe at the beginning of a new one. You've reflected, you've questioned, you've seen the blueprint you've been building on, you've explored the power of philosophy over strategy, you've practiced how to shift not just your habits but your identity. And now, it's time to decide. Because insight without action fades, but insight followed by action becomes a shift, becomes a rhythm, becomes your new reality. So let me ask you now, what is one belief you're ready to upgrade? What is one way you can return to yourself today? We spend so much of our lives trying to improve things on the outside, our schedule, our weight, our finances, our appearance, our reputation. But so rarely do we stop to ask, what is the philosophy behind it all? What am I building this life on? Because if your philosophy is misaligned, then your life will always feel unstable. Like building a cathedral on sand, beautiful but sinking. Jim Rohn said, "It's not what happens that determines your life future, it's what you do about what happens, and what you do comes from what you believe." So belief isn't a soft thing, it's a system, it's structure, it's your personal architecture. And now, you get to choose. You get to redesign it. You get to step into the role not just of a dreamer, but of a designer. So here's your call to action. Not outward, but inward. Not a checklist, but a commitment. Not a scream, but a whisper you repeat every day. I want you to write this down, somewhere only you can see, your mirror, your phone background, your journal, your heart, and I want you to return to it, especially when the old patterns call you back. Here it is. I choose to design my philosophy and let it lead my life. Say it again. I choose to design my philosophy and let it lead my life. This is not a slogan. It's not a motivational meme. It's a pattern interrupt. A conscious shift from living in reaction to living in rhythm. Because here's what I know. Your life is not a result of one massive moment. It is shaped by the quiet decisions you make, when no one is watching. And the most powerful of those decisions is who you choose to become. So I invite you now to choose. Choose your new rhythm, choose your new identity, choose your new architecture. You don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to change everything today, but you can change your direction. And when you do, everything else begins to move with you. Because as Jim said, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. So let today be that shift. Let this moment be the hinge on which your future turns. Let this decision echo louder than your doubt. Let this one thought become a foundation. That strategy may guide your hands, but philosophy will guide your heart. So breathe in the silence, breathe in the reset. Whisper to yourself, I am the architect of my alignment. I am the designer of my direction. You are not broken, you are becoming. And now you begin again, this time from within. Let's rise.